Hello once more, my friends. It's Sunday evening, and I got some hot cocoa, and I've got some stuff to share. Today's stint with the AI went a lot better, and I was able to slightly improve the pathing mechanics, and now I'm in a place where I want to see if I can make them better by actually observing the game. So I'm gonna do this in a few clips, and I'm gonna record it live. We're gonna see if I can tweak it to be even better while you watch. I also decided to stick with Wyatt's actual game assets for now. That made it so I could pull his work, and now we're up to date again. I got rid of the debug textures following Olimar, and the way you bring them back up now is you go like this. And now there's follow points, as I like to call them. And because I'm not sure exactly what shape they should be, they just go in a line. But instead of all the nonsense from before, when the Pikmin come in, they know exactly where they want to be. And obviously it's a little jank because we have the debug lines, but there they go, they find their spot, and when I turn, they get back to where they need to be. So my idea is that I kind of want to procedurally make a approximated circle behind Olimar. I might get something up here on screen. Basically, if it were 5, it would be like a 3x3 with the cardinal directions in the center occupied. But then if it's more than that, you need a bigger shape. And I'm not exactly sure what the shape should be, but I was taking a look at some YouTube videos earlier, and it seems like the Pikmin generally just follow you in a consistent grid. So the whole random placement thing never really needed to happen. So I'm pretty happy with this, and then I can, of course, dismiss them. Of course, it makes them disappear, and that's to be fixed later. I'm not really too concerned with that. One thing at a time, folks. So we're gonna make the following shape look as good as we can. And of course, if I keep pressing it, I can get them to go off into infinity, which is kind of fun. All right, here I am in the game. This is one of those ROM hacks I've mentioned where people modify the game. That's why the colors are different and such. This one right here is Pikmin 2.16. It's one of the many ROM hacks of Pikmin 2. So I figured I'd give a little attention to something like this. The music's a little loud, let me turn that down. So just for the sake of having a group, let's see here, what's this, 50 total. I just wanna see how they walk around. I'm not gonna try to win or anything. And we're gonna ignore the fact that they group into their colored groups and such. Looks like we got a little cutscene. Anyway, this is what actual Pikmin looks like. If you've been watching this not knowing what the actual game looks like, welcome to the challenge mode. But anyway, this is the type of stuff I've been trying to figure out for my own game. But the thing is, what we're paying close attention to is how they follow me. So you'll notice, as we walk, oh, crap, okay. So see how they're kind of in a grid, like those yellows up there in front? Those are the camera controls. You can see how they're kind of in a grid. It's not super obvious, but then as we go, and then the grid kind of flutters about because I think they have like maybe a staggered start. It's hard to say. And if I were to go like this, kind of figure it out. But anyway, you see how there's kind of a grid there? It's almost as though the grid is following a particular axis, the same as the grid on the ground, if you see it. It's tough to say. They're definitely very organic, but there's still a bit of a grid to it. So what I was thinking of doing was just having it so that the grid is permanent and the Pikmin just get in it as they do. So we'll go back to the overhead. Now, if I were to grab one and get ready to throw, then they'll self-organize. And that looks almost more like a grid. So it's kind of like 3 in the front row and then 5, and then there's a guy. And you see what I'm going for here. It's like there's one guy, and then they move forward in the queue when it's time to grab a new one. See how they're lining up? And I made a drawing earlier. I'll take a picture of it and show it. But you see how they go like up and around, and now they're in like a little queue and they know what they're doing. But as it goes, you can see it doesn't always stay as wide. They like recalibrate to make a new group, which is part of the complications of it, which is what I'm seeking to see if I can do. So if I can get it down to just 5, it would make a sort of little cross. And you can see they don't really much care to be in that group when they're like running behind me. But if I were to grip on them, they kind of understand that it's sort of like the one that's next in line is right behind me. And then grab him, and then the next guy, and then they run up when it's their turn. See how they kind of wait in line for it? So what I'm thinking is that, so like imagine an imaginary grid with numbers, and then it's like, okay, 1, and then number 2 goes into the place of number 1 as I grab him, and number 2, they go like that, and you can see it's not perfect. Like they wait, and they kind of teleport into your hand. That's just one of those things that you have to do in games to compromise. But yeah, it seems like until you queue up the throw, they kind of do whatever they want. They self-segregate by color, which is useful for the player because sometimes you only want a certain color. I'm not going to worry about color dynamics right now, but if I grab one and then click to the side, it switches color, and you can see they all recalibrate, which would be doable in the system I'm describing. So I think this works, and you can see they make their shape, and then they move forward. I'm going too fast. But see they kind of like go around. That second row, yep, you can see it, they just did it. There we go, and then they all shuffle forward to get into the next line. You see how it makes a weaving line. That's what I'm going for. I'm belaboring the point here, so I'm gonna call this. Cheers to Pikmin 2:16. I would just videotape myself playing, but I have so little time. It's like I gotta take advantage of the time I have. So instead of playing, I'm gonna get back to developing. All right, so I'm back here in Godot. No more waiting for Godot, am I right? And I can show you what I worked on earlier, not the Pikmin itself. I gotta get back to the script. Okay, so the player, let's start with the player actually, has this follow source. I got rid of the debug info for the follow point, and now there's a follow source, and the follow source can create a follow point. And that's just that little red debug sphere you see on the ground. So then the player, within their script, currently I'm letting it be the whistle interaction, which is when you press the B button. And then you can also press C on the keyboard. I gotta leave those keyboard controls in for Wyatt, of course. I'm crawling through this. You have to be willing to do things the slow way so you can build upon them later. I know this isn't fireworks and exciting, but that's how it goes. So we count the follower count. It's just a number. It's an integer that the player is gonna hold on to. And then we say that it's gone up. Now, ideally, this would just be set to the maximum by default. I think it would be 100 in the normal game. We can tweak that, but I like doing it iteratively like this, at least to start, so I can see it as it happens. So we add a follow point, and then we instantiate a follow point, which is that other scene I was talking about. So then we give it a name with the count at the time it was made, so 1, then 2, then 3, and then we set it to one follow count times 1. So if it's 1, it's 1, if it's 2, it's 2, and that's why you get them going and going behind. And then we add it as a child to the actual follow source here. So then we saw that earlier, and that's what this looks like. Follow, 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 follow. And then there's the guys, and then if we were to spawn in 5 Pikmin, now they know their spot. Now the thing I don't have yet is more than just a line. I figured a straight line would be the easiest way to do it. And I think that's correct. There they go, they all know their spot. So that's good. Yep, there's that guy in the middle there, he doesn't have a spot. And even if I give him a spot, he doesn't like realize there's a new spot for him, unfortunately. But obviously you can see this line way into the back isn't what it should be. It should be something more like a circle. I think something more like a square could be cool, or maybe like a diamond, but most importantly, I think it needs to dynamically change. Like the full circle, occupying 100. It's like, how do you approximate a circle with 100 squares within it? You know, it's kind of like a Minecraft question. I might have to look at some Minecraft circle generators in order to understand that. But you wouldn't want that, because you would get a half circle if you only had 50. So like the ideal shape needs to dynamically change. And I think we saw that with the Pikmin, where when the number got small enough, they regrouped into a different shape. And what I'm thinking is that there'll be like maybe 3 or 4 phases between 0 and 100, where it's like if you have less than 25, it makes this shape, and then if you get bigger than 25, they recalibrate. And that's part of the fun of it. I think having them run around like spastically is kind of interesting as that happens. Not how I had it before where it was random. I hope that makes sense. So anyway, the point is, how would we make this so that it iterates into something bigger than a grid? And this is one of those programming problems where it's like, I should figure out how to do this myself. How do you turn an integer into a multiplier so that it fills out a group? Or we could just have it figure out so that it's not iterative like this and it's just all generated ahead of time, which is what I think it will eventually be. And I'm not gonna do that live for this video. This is also the type of thing that I could ask an AI. But for the fun of it, let's go out here and search Minecraft circle generator. And then the thing about this, yeah, pixel art circle, that's fine. It's mostly about the grid points. So we have the width and the height. Unfortunately, I can't give it a volume, unfortunately. I guess that, yeah, see, they're focusing only on the border. I'm more concerned with the interior. So like the base case I would say is these 5 here. So 5 Pikmin would make a little cross. And then if you had 2, 8, if you had 10, it would make this. And then if you had more than that, 1 and 4 and what's this now, 13? It's not obvious how you would do this. And right here it says how many stacks you would have. I feel like we can do better than this. I'll come back. Okay, gang, I'm back. It's Wednesday, and I'm excited to report that I have solved the problem. Let's take a look, shall we? Here's that Minecraft circle generator from before, and what I determined was the different sizes of the circle and the different rows they would have and the totals they have, and these have formed the brackets, let's say. So, until you have over 12 Pikmin, they'll go 2, 4, 4, 2. And that was MC radius 8. Then there's, 6, then 8, then 10, then 13, then 14. Are the sizes I decided on. So 12, and then when you get to 25, they break bigger. And then when you get to 45, they break bigger. And then when you get to 90, they get even bigger. And then you don't get to 104 because the limit is 100. Now, I took all this, not knowing exactly how I might implement it, and I gave it to ChatGPT. Hey, here's the goal, and I got just this kind of lame if check where it's like, if it's less than 13, do this, if it's this, if it's this, if this, and this is just the different ranges. And then I gave it this and I said, hey, how can we do this? So then it wrote code for me, which is stellar, because this was something that was like, I could have figured it out given enough time, but I'm trying to save time. And it got it, and it crushed it, and then I had to do a little bit of debugging, and it had a few tips for me, but I'm excited to show you what I have. You'll notice I can run around, and there's those little hazy gaps behind me. That's the default smallest size, 12, and I can spawn Pikmin in with P, and they know exactly where they want to be. What a treat. And we'll stop right at 12, and I can turn, and they know the spot. They go back to find it. This is so much closer to how the actual game works. I'm really happy with it. There's still room for improvement. They're really robotic, and they kind of collide with me. So I think, you know, some things could get better, but the main goal was to get the way they follow to work. So now we're at 12. What happens when we add 13? Oh, let's restructure. And as they add, we get bigger, 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 and you can see we're almost done with this little group here, and then they will break into an even bigger group. Oh, I'm so happy with it. Oh man, this group's getting pretty big. What do we, oh nice, we make another group. Look at this. Look at this. And it just goes and goes and goes, and I'm so happy with this. This is so much better. And if you remember from earlier in the video, I was talking about the grid they form, and this is a lot better. Now obviously that way they sort of like sweep into their positions I don't really like. Maybe they should bump into each other, I'm not sure, but when they could bump into each other before, it was pretty crappy. Either way, let's see if we can break the bank here. One more up, and there we go, yeah. It still spawns the Pikmin. You can see that kind of like overshadowed spot there. It still makes a spot, but it does debug at least that we have too many. So I added this here, starter squad size, which is 12, and then here's the layers, which defaults to the original layer size. And when we start, we do a for loop. For all the nums in the starter skies, we add a follow point. So let's see what add a follow point does. We iterate the follow count, so it starts at 0, and because of that first loop, we'll go all the way through 12. So we'll make a new point, we'll give it the name follow point 1, 2, 3, 4, going all the way up, and then it starts at that default position 1 unit behind the player, but we add it to the child of that follow point, the original one, the follow source rather, and then we determine grid. Determine grid is where we check the total to see how big the squad grid should be, and then we pass that into generate follow positions, in which, this is the part the AI wrote for me, so I don't know it as well, but basically it knows how to make a row with columns based on the array I give it. So 2, 4, 4, 2 will make a row with 2, and then a row with 4, and then a row with 2. Yeah, I'm butchering it, but I think you understand what I'm saying because you saw it earlier. Apply the positions to the follow points. Now, what do the Pikmin do when you make them? So currently, whistling the Pikmin is how you, add a follow point for debug purposes, which actually we don't need to do anymore because when you spawn a Pikmin, it takes care of that. So the Pikmin comes in, and then if there are more Pikmin, the Pikmin list size, than the current follow count, then we add a follow point, and we know what that does already. And then after that has happened, we call update Pikmin follow targets, where we give each Pikmin in order a place to stand in order, and that's why they always follow around so nicely. So you can see we start with the 12 debug points, and then if I just blast through here, and they know how to make a bigger group, and then they know how to make a bigger group, and it's wonderful. And if you look from the overhead view, you can see what's in common with the Minecraft circles. So props to my girlfriend Aubrey for recommending that. She likes Minecraft, and she said, hey, you know, the circle generation you're trying to do seems to correlate with how it would be done in Minecraft. And look at this. Oh, we're gonna end up with a nice, oh man, there's even more. I should add UI that tells you how many Pikmin you have. But yeah, there's 100. And I would bet that this looks pretty similar to how 100 looks in the actual game. So what a treat. I'm a huge, huge fan of this. And yeah, again, oh man, it's so weird. It's kind of pretty, but like you go like this, and then you go like this, and the way they fill in is kind of swoopy. But big fan of it, and then pretty soon when you throw them, they will not collide with the helmet, but they'll like shuffle forward in line. I'm gonna do it so that the numbers aren't 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, but they like go down and up and down and up to make the queue like I described before. But anyway, I've spent way too much time talking on this. I'm so happy I got this figured out a couple days late, but we are making the magic happen, folks. Thank you so much for watching. Please stick around. Pretty much weekly videos, all things considered, and the next steps are super obvious. The way the Pikmin have their ways of interacting with the world. You should throw them, they should become idle, you should be able to whistle idle Pikmin and have them join the group at the back of the queue, and then stuff like that. Thanks again.